Good evening. Happy Friday. TGIF. This is Freddie Vasquez with Basement Politics. And tonight is the weekly recap. I want to talk about the YMA Idol over at the Yonkers Montessori Academy. Also, I want to talk about Native Sage's conversation with the Yonkers Tribune on the radio show. And a few other things here. Mental Health Awareness Month. Yeah, and some other stuff. Let's talk. Good evening, folks. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Friday, TGIF. Hello, Yonkers. Yonkers. How you doing, everyone? Good evening. Good evening, folks. How you doing today? It's Friday. It's a good day. It was pretty good. Then it started to rain. Then the sun came out. Then it rained some more. But it was an exciting day today because the YMA, the Yonkers Montessori Academy, had their first annual YMA talent show. And I stopped by today. It started at 6 o'clock. And I was very impressed by the amount of parents and family members that were there. But I was more impressed by the talent. There's some talented kids here in the city of Yonkers. I'll tell you that. And they have a wide range of talent from singing, dancing. Some played instruments, guitar, piano. There was even a comedian. That's right, a comedian. And he was funny. Young guy went up there and did his thing very confidently. Talked about mom and dad. It was a great routine. And for anyone, any age, to go up and do comedy in front of a crowd like that, there was a lot of people there. Took a lot of guts. Takes a lot of guts. So shout out to him and his performance. And the rest of the kids that went up and performed, it was awesome. Shout out to the administrators, the staff, the teachers who put it together. My wife is an assistant principal there. This is something that she has done at prior schools before. So she, had this idea and she got, the help from people and they put it together. Shout out to Mr. Solicito. He did the artwork and the YMA lettering and stuff like that. It was excellent. Did a great job, man. Did a great job. Shout out to Gamby, Mrs. Gamby, and shout out to the other staff members, teachers, administrators. I don't know the name, but you guys did an amazing job. Amazing job. And I really wanted to stress that. I wanted to start out with that because I want to start on a positive note. And I love education. I love the kids. It's very important for me because, it helped me come out of a situation where many people don't come out of. I broke the cycle of poverty. Education was very key to that. Education and getting married to a great woman. That is the key. That is absolutely the key. So shout out to YMA. Shout out to everyone there. It was excellent. And shout out to the families, the parents. There were a lot of people. Wow, there really were a lot of people. I was very impressed. I want to talk about next Mental Health Month. That's right. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you know that? I'm sure you have. Our elected officials have been mentioning it for quite some time now. And I guess it's great that they're talking about mental health. But now I have to switch gears here and be critical. And I've mentioned this before. These are these feel-good things, right? These feel-good legislations that they pass. Mental health issue or Mental Health Awareness Month. I saw a congresswoman wearing a green dress, a congresswoman, United States congresswoman, and she put on her Facebook page, "In my green dress for Mental Health Awareness Month. I have my green on." And I said, okay, great. And what else are you doing? Wearing a green dress, making a post, and naming a month in honor of mental health doesn't do much. It doesn't do anything at all. Mental health is an issue that people deal with every day. Every day. And the other day in the council meeting, they took a moment of silence for Mental Health Awareness Month. And I said, why don't you take a walk down the steps into Getty Square You can go there every day and you'll see people who are suffering from mental health. Mental Health Awareness Month. Many elected officials are celebrating. It's almost like they're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. For example, one Democratic woman posted a picture of herself wearing a green for mental health. She captioned it, "Wearing my green." I commented, "Great, but what are you actually doing to address the national mental health crisis in America?" In my interview with Congressman Jamal Bowman, I spoke about that. Our Congress has declared a national mental health emergency. Our local officials are no different. Much of the legislation introduced by our council members are often feel-good stuff like naming a month in honor of mental health or Hispanics or Italians. However, that gets nothing done. Nothing changes. Mental health is a serious concern that affects people every day. Every day, right? Go to Getty Square. Every day you'll see individuals suffering from mental health standing in front of businesses or lying on the floor or walking up Main Street yelling at no one. Well, at least we see no one. Oftentimes we associate mental health with drug use and homelessness, but we don't see how it impacts a lot more, such as violence and crime. And please, let me be very clear. I am not saying mental health equates to crime. Not saying that if you have a mental health disorder, or if you're suffering from mental health, that you are a criminal or you're going to be a criminal. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that crime, many times we can see that there may be some mental health that may be indirectly impacting that decision made by the individual who committed the crime, right? Oftentimes, individuals committing crimes are suffering from some form of mental health. While it may not be directly the cause of someone's criminal behavior, but it may play a role. It may play a role. For example, individuals suffering from mental health and or trauma can be more aggressive at times or have unresolved anger. And that's because they have not had time to deal with it or have seen a therapist. I know, right? I grew up in an environment that, filled me with lots of trauma. I've seen a lot of things growing up that kids should not see. And as a result, I had developed some anger. So, as a kid, I used to be, that was my thing. I used to get into fights as a kid in school, but I was very respectful to teachers, right? I wasn't one that was disrespectful. I just had anger from things that were going on at home. And then that can lead to some action that could be considered a crime. You're just getting mad and fighting somebody and assaulting them. That's a crime, right? So we don't think about that when cops are out there arresting young individuals, particularly here in Yonkers, particularly Black and brown individuals who are suffering a trauma that they have yet to resolve. Absolutely a trauma. And we all probably suffering from a trauma that we've yet to resolve or are working to resolve it. Right. So I don't want to say that mental health equals crime. I'm just saying that, trauma is a form of mental health. You suffer, childhood experiences that can result in adults having PTSD. The bottom line is that our elected officials need to do more than linking a month to a problem. That does not resolve the issue, nor does it make a difference in the lives of the people who are dealing with mental health or any other issue that they name a month after. So here you go. Steps for mental health in honor of mental health awareness on Saturday, May 14th, 2022. From 1 to 3 p.m. at Lincoln Memorial Park over there in South Broadway, McLean. Join them for surprise unveiling, resources, games, and music. They're gonna do a surprise unveiling of what for mental health. This is gonna be a clinic that's gonna provide free therapeutic services for young people and young adults and anyone in need of mental health services. I hope that's what the surprise is. Moving on to crime. Crime in the city. Crime in the city. They say crime is down, but is crime down? Another store on South Broadway was robbed in broad daylight. Yonkers police arrest 3 Bronx men for a smash and grab robbery at the Golden Square jewelry store just before you get to South Broadway and Hudson Street there over by the Bank of America. Four individuals went up to the window, smashed the glass, and grabbed all the jewelry they could before running off with $100,000 worth of jewelry, according to the owner. I'm in the insurance business also, by the way. I do property insurance. I negotiate property insurance claims, actually. So I assess insurance damages on the property as well as the personal belongings. So I'm familiar with this stuff. And it's coincidentally or interesting enough, I walked by the store a few days before this happened, and I looked in the window and I actually questioned if the jewelry was real. I'm just saying, I'm being honest. I'm not trying to knock the owner. I'm not trying to knock his hustle, but was it $100,000 of jewelry at the window? I mean, not from what I saw, but maybe jewelry or the price of gold is up, right? Gold prices must be through the roof. I don't buy much gold. I don't know. However, I know that Rolex watches have doubled, and tripled. I was like, wow, when I saw the prices on them. Prices are up on goods across the country, but when it comes to crime in Yonkers, some of our elected officials say it's down. However, it doesn't appear that crime is down. It was only less than 7 days ago a man pulled out a gun on a group of teens. And now the latest headlines, what does it say there? Yonkers arrests 3 Bronx men for brazen jewelry store smash and grab. Unfortunately, this isn't a new problem on South Broadway, as stores have been robbed along the South Broadway corridor for quite some time. They've been getting robbed quite some time. Many stores have been hiring off-duty cops to protect their merchandise. The Rite Aid over there on South Broadway, had a team of loss prevention guys come into Yonkers from corporate, right, to assess what's been going on. And the individual that was leading the team said he'd never seen it so bad. This is the loss prevention for Rite Aid. So is crime down? Or are we being lied to? Right? Is crime down? Are we being lied to? Is it being kept quiet? And why would it be kept quiet if it's up? Well, those who have interest in seeing people from the boroughs, places like Brooklyn and Manhattan, who are looking to leave New York City, want to make sure that they don't, Yonkers doesn't appear to be a place with high crime, because people looking to move out of New York City are looking at Yonkers. Many have been looking to move in Westchester. And if they see that crime rate is high here in Yonkers, they will now want to move to Yonkers, right? And that's bad for the developers. But we must have clear transparency. Now we have a new police commissioner in Christopher Sapienza. I would imagine we should be seeing some different strategies being implemented to address the very real problems we have in Yonkers with crime, especially here, on South Broadway there. A lot of the stores are getting robbed. A lot of stores here in Yonkers, downtown area, are getting robbed. Remember the guys that got beat up by the grocery store workers? Remember that incident? It was all filmed. So actually another store was damaged last week on South Broadway and Valentine. Smashed the windows, front windows, same thing. They didn't take anything. It was a tattoo shop, I believe. And then we have the gun issues, gun violence. Again, it was less than 7 days ago when an adult male pulled out a gun on a group of teens on Ridge Avenue off Lake Avenue. Seems like the group of teens may have been from Gorton. And I was saying that maybe we need more foot patrols. Maybe we need more police satellite stations, especially after school. And I know they have them in Getty Square. And I'm not blaming cops, please, because I don't want the Yonkers News Wire writing a report or post about me hating cops or calling them racist. I'm just saying that maybe we need more foot patrols, bike patrols, especially now in the summertime. It's going to really get hot. Listen, growing up in the hood, and I grew up in Southwest Yonkers, we knew the summertime, we knew it was going to be fire. It was, and I don't mean buildings burning. I mean, block is going to be hot. It's going to be fights. It's going to be gunshots. It's going to be people probably getting shot, right? It's going to be a lot of craziness, loud music. It was crazy. You could hear it, the fighting, the police, the ambulance, you grew up with that. So when I moved out of it, it's weird. When I moved out and I moved somewhere that was very quiet, all you heard was birds and stuff, it was weird. It was a little like, I got to get used to this stuff, right? So it's going to get hot. It's going to get, more crazy out there as the summer approaches. So Christopher Sapienza, new police commissioner, maybe foot patrols. And I hear that they do have some posted on No Dine Hill, although I was there in that area today. I didn't see any officers posted there, but that is something that a lot of residents of the city of Yonkers have been talking to me about. They've been talking to me about more foot patrols, that they want to see more foot patrols. So we'll see how that happens now that we have a new commissioner. Will that be the case? I just want to see if we have any comments here. Perps in the incident were black males as expected. Wow, this is Yonkers. Okay. According to Joe Biden, though, MAGA are the biggest terrorists in the country. The president and the left will continue to ignore the obvious, which is that black people are the demographic predominantly committing violent crimes in just about every city in the country, including Yonkers. Wow. Okay, I'm going to read this though. Statistics will back that up. So no need to waste any time on that. Most in the Democratic Party locally or throughout the country want a lawless society, and they enable these soaring crime rates we are now witnessing at astounding rates. Democrats want police departments defunded and soft on crime, judges and DAs in place so that thugs like these in the particular incident are released with no bail. Let's talk about bail, or she could be she talking about bail reform. Democrats are also support the real domestic terrorists in this country. Black Lives Matter. This radical left-wing organization pretenses to make people believe that black people are still very oppressed. Oppression is not wearing $200 sneakers when the only job you've ever had is selling drugs. Wow. And I'm reading this because this is someone from Yonkers, obviously. Oppression is not having a smartphone with a data plan which you receive no bill for. Oppression is not living in public subsidized housing where you do not have a utility bill. Oppression is not having free health insurance and blah, blah, free this, that, and the third. Oppression, oppression is not having the ability to go march against and peacefully protest against anything that triggers you without worrying about calling out work and the consequences that accompany such acts. By the way, a lot of people are protesting who wrote this have been white people at these protests. They calling out. Oppression is not having as many children as you want, regardless of your employment status, and be able to send them off to daycare or school. So the reason why I read that is because that's somebody obviously that's here in the city of Yonkers. And if someone can write this long thing, basically this racist rant, right, stereotyping black Americans, blacks here in the city of Yonkers, then and what comes to my mind is that there are a lot more people who think that like this here in the city of Yonkers. There are a lot of people who think like this here in the city of Yonkers. And in a city that is, majority minority, if you combine the minority, black Americans, Hispanics and other minority groups, we're the majority together. It's sad that we see this. And I've been talking about in my podcast how we need to become united and stop this nonsense. This is nonsense. This is just hate. This is just someone who wants to blame and point fingers rather than provide a solution. Right. And this is a complex issue when you talk about oppression and racism and systematic oppression and systematic racism. That's so deep and it just can't be fixed, in a matter of days or weeks or whatever. But I also am someone that preaches, getting out there and doing what you need to do to make it happen and not relying on someone giving you a handout. I've been saying this in regards to our elected officials who are constantly giving free food out, and they want that to appear to be like they're doing everything for people. They're doing so much for the Black and Latino community. Look how people feel. And this is exactly why, I get upset and offended when I see things that Tasha, Majority Leader, does, when she says how she dresses, because this is what people think of us. And I say us because I consider myself black. I do. But I say us in terms of people, human beings. And this is just just goes to show that there's still people who have not, it's 2022, who have not evolved out of this mentality. Right. And like I said, we oftentimes have to work harder, I should say. And I had to have done that. I've had to work harder to prove that I was just as good as maybe my white counterpart. But I didn't get mad at white people. I don't get mad at an entire race over that. I get mad at an individual who may be looking at me like less than other races for whatever reason, because that's that specific individual's ignorance. But we have to come together, right? It's together that we can really overcome stuff like this and change the perception and mentality of certain individuals. It has to be together. We are all being impacted, right, by some of the things that are going on here in the city, by some of the things that our elected officials are doing, and we all want the same thing. It doesn't matter what color you are. We all want, a good quality of life, a good housing situation, a good job, good schools for our kids, healthcare, safe neighborhoods. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, or brown. There's a lot of people, the majority of people that are impoverished or in poor communities, they want that stuff. They're not out there committing crimes, right? I mean, yeah, I knew some criminals growing up in the hood, but not the majority of people I knew. The majority of people I knew were not criminals, right? And I'm sure that there's criminals in good neighborhoods too, right? That do different type of crime. And if we looked at our elected officials, some of them may be criminals. I'm just saying they could be, and they're not living in the hood, right? So this is sad. Is the mentality of some people still here in the city of Yonkers? It's unfortunate, but you can't stereotype whoever wrote this. You're being ignorant. Not all black people are like this. My wife actually never wore $200 sneakers, and she never wanted $200 sneakers at all. My wife was very modest when it comes to, still is. She's black. She prefers to do things like the YMA Idol. That's what she loves. That's her passion. And there are a lot of other black Americans like her, white Americans that are great, Hispanic Americans that are great. And so we have to come together to stand against this stuff. But sometimes I understand what he's saying, though, with the phone, right? And I'm just being honest. Like, I see people who are homeless with cell phones. That's one thing that everyone has. It doesn't matter if you have no money, if you're poor and you're homeless, you still have a cell phone. I see a lot of people with cell phones wandering the street on with their cell phone, haven't showered, but they got their cell phone and it's working. It's got, it's connected. It's got service. And that's so I've noticed that I have. It's something I've mentioned to my wife, like, babe, everybody got a cell phone. Even homeless, it doesn't matter. Got a new, and sometimes they're better than mine, new iPhone. But I wanted to read that just to remind people that there are still individuals with that mindset, the racist mindset, stereotypical mindset. And just to explain that whole $200 sneaker thing, right? For anyone who's listening who might be a racist and think that same thing. Why they can't afford to live in, they don't even pay their own rent and they got $200 Jordans on. Yeah, I understand. That makes sense. I get it. But you have to look at the psyche of it. These individuals that don't have anything, they know they live in the projects. I knew I was poor. You know what I'm saying? I knew we had roaches and rats. Right? I knew I was poor. And so that developed an inferiority complex. And this is what I'm talking about when I mentioned some of the trauma growing up in the hood that you may, develop. You develop an inferiority complex. You're not good enough. You lack confidence. Your family doesn't have a car. You have to take the bus to grocery store. So what they do is what we did, and I say they because I take people in the hood, and I'm talking about me too. What we would do is we would wear expensive clothing we to make us feel better. To at least say, okay, look at me. I'm a little fly. I'm kind of fresh, right? I have, I don't know, some name brand shirt on and Jordans. And it was very big. And that's why growing up, if you stepped on somebody's Jordans, that was a fight. Literally, people beat each other up for that. People used to go around stealing the sneakers back in the day, the Jordans. And again, so that goes back to just the psyche of just not feeling good enough and needing to mask, the insecurities that we have growing up poor. And especially when you go to school and you go to school with other people who may have more money, than you. It's embarrassing, and you want to try to not stand out and not say, hey, look at me, I'm poor, right? Because that's really what it is. Got to wear the Gucci belt, got to have the Jordans on, True Religion jeans, but I'm living with my mom. but at least I'm fly, I'm fresh. That it's a psychological thing. It's to psych you out. Really, you're not fresh. It's better to have, a pair of $30 sneakers and have your own place and have a car, right? To get you to work. So that's the. I just want to explain that's the psyche of it. So for any ignorant racists who said, "Oh, they don't got a job, but they want to wear $200 sneakers," but that's why. They poor. We're poor. We want to mask it. We want to not be look poor. We don't want to look poor. We know we poor. We don't want to look poor though, right? So it's a psychological thing, for that matter. So I just want to kind of explain that because I would do that. I'm not into that stuff like no more, but I was one of those kids. I would have expensive sneakers. And my mother's a single mom, right? She couldn't afford it. She was getting assistance. But my mom knew that I wanted them bad. Because really she wouldn't have bought them if I didn't want them so bad. It's not like my mom, because you do have some parents that will buy their kids these even though the kids don't want them. You got their babies wearing Jordans because again, it's the psyche. They gotta, they might be walking and pushing a stroller, but their kid look flea. Kid gets on flea. I saw this parent with the kid had the whole Gucci outfit not too long ago. And I'm just like, and then they got into an Uber, right? So it's a psychological thing. It's an insecurity thing. I used to do that too. And it was really bad when I moved out of New York and I moved to Oklahoma, where I moved to the richest part of the place that I lived at. The south side of town was where all the rich kids lived, and everybody got a car at 16, except for me. My wife had to drive me around. It's kind of why, when I got a nice car, I said, I'm gonna get you this car. I paid her back. But, that was a big insecurity for me, right? I couldn't pick up my girl and take her on a date because I didn't have a car. Everybody else did. And you couldn't take buses out there. It's not like Yonkers. You can get away with it. And so for a long time, that was very insecure because of that. And I did get made fun of. My friends would make fun of me, right? And they were joking, but they didn't realize how that really affected me because I was poor. I was at the time we weren't on welfare anymore. My mother decided to, she's not going to do that anymore. She wanted to, move in a different direction. She started to work full-time job after getting, an education and stuff. She was going to school, and she said, "That's it. No more do I need the welfare. I'm going to get me a job. I'm going to work and do it on my own." And she did. And she eventually bought herself a home in a gated community, and she's doing well. And that's what it's all about. That's what welfare and social service programs are about. It's about helping you get your footing. It's not meant to be on it for the rest of your life. It's not meant to pass it down to your kids. That's not an inheritance. And I know people that do that. They'll give their kids their Section 8, right? And they'll pass it down or something like that. But you're teaching your kid how to milk the system. And many times people think that they are playing the system. Yeah, I'm getting over. No, you're not. You're not. Right. And so, like I said, it's there to give you, to help you get your footing, give you some assistance while hopefully you're working on ways to better yourself, better your financial situation. Because especially if you have kids, you want to teach them different. And I prided myself on not needing to be on welfare as an adult. That was my big thing. I don't want to be on welfare as an adult. I want to work hard. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to be on welfare. I didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to be on welfare, but I know what I wanted to do. But at least just putting myself in situations where at least maybe an opportunity could come up, and it did. And that's why I met people. So again, you have to put yourself out there. Like my mom said, it's not going to fall on your lap. You got to go out and get it. So that's what I did. And I learned from people and, and I just kept hustling and moving up. But I prided myself on not needing to be on welfare as an adult and not to be negative or judgmental. People, if you need it, you need it. You have to take care of your kids, but it should be something that you're using to get your footing, get back on, your feet, or get yourself, an education, some maybe training, get yourself a job, thinking forward. I think the problem is when, people just kind of stay on it and they just kind of have no real plan, just being on welfare. And like I said on the podcast yesterday, I was in a store. Woman was complaining about the milk being $6. She had a benefit card and she goes, $6. man, welfare is going to have to start giving me more money. That's how she said it. Like, welfare is going to have to start giving you more money because the prices are going up. And it's just like, there's people that work, and don't get the welfare, and they are short now because the price is going up, and they can't demand it from nobody. They can't just go somewhere and demand it. I need more money because price is going up. They're not going to go to the employer and say that, right? And so what I've learned also, is and notice is that also sometimes people develop a sense of entitlement when being on welfare. Like you just expect it to be given to you, like the government owes it to you. The government doesn't owe it to you. The government doesn't owe you nothing. Nobody does. Let me tell you that. Well, except for your parents, because you didn't ask to be born, right? We said that. I didn't ask to be born, right? So your parents owe you to take care of you for a certain extent, and then you're on your own. But, so I just kind of in my mind, it's like, wow, that's just part of that sense of entitlement when some individuals just have been getting free stuff handed to them, right? And they like demand it now, and you better, or the government better give it to me. No, you better go get a job. You better figure it out. That's what most people have to do, And honestly, I say that because I want particularly my people, because you see, you go to downtown area, you see a large population of the Hispanic, impoverished, and blacks also. And I want my people to, have a break in the cycle program. I want kids to start to break the cycle. Forget this, being on welfare and stuff like that. But they also need to have opportunities, resources, and education and things that will help them do that. And that is why I get on the elected officials, because handing them free food is not going to help them get there. You're teaching them to be dependent. And that is not even your job. Your job is to pass legislation so that they can implement stuff that will educate individuals, children in impoverished communities, so that by the time they're in their adult life, they're not impoverished. That's what you need to be doing. But if you're just handing out food and that's it, you're just perpetuating a dependency. And that's what I don't like. And you're not doing anything. You're not helping. That's like a parent who continues to allow their 35-year-old child to live in their house with them, and they don't have to pay any bills, right? And understand it's getting hard out there. But remember also, there are a lot of homeless people, and they don't have kitchens to cook that stuff you guys are handing out. And some people are rolling up in cars. I'm just saying. And they're not old cars. They're not Humtis. I've seen some new Toyota Highlanders, and people are loading up their cars with that free food. So, just make sure it's reaching the people that it needs to reach. So anyway, that's my whole rant on welfare. I'm big on, making sure that you do for yourself. You learn how to do for yourself. You break the cycle. You don't rely on welfare. And not that welfare isn't something that people, if needed, need the help they should get to get a footing, right? And get themselves on track, get an education or get some training, so that way they can go ahead and get a job and take care of themselves and start to pay for their own bill. But you can't perpetuate the problem by, making decisions that are not the best. Having more than one child, right? Maybe when you have yet to get your footing. And this is why it was very important for me, and this is just me. Before I had a child, I was waiting. My wife and I, we didn't have our child till I was 30. Because we wanted to wait. It was very important. We're gonna do it. You have to plan, kids. You guys got to plan. That's big. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So we had a plan. College first, get married, then kids. And they say when you get married, your kids are more likely to be successful. Statistical fact. Statistical fact. So something for you to think about. If you get married and then have kids, your kids are more likely to be successful. If you get married, you're more likely to be successful. Maybe not at the marriage, but at least financially and professionally. You can always find a new wife or husband. Moving on. I want to talk about really quick Judge Ada. Oh, really quick. I wanted to show this because I was accused of talking about Mike Breen's family and saying that he was milking the system. I did say he's milking the taxpayers because I got it from the Yonkers Tribune. Here you go. Okay. These are the articles where I got it from. So it's not just me wanting to attack Mike Breen. No, this is what it said. Yonkers Tribune. Anyway, meet Judge Ada Medina. Judge Ada Medina is someone that I've spoken about in several podcasts because there was an interesting circumstances or situation surrounding her appointment. And I just want to recap that. Judge Ada Medina was appointed after Judge Quinones moved on up to the Supreme Court. However, she was not initially someone that was on the top 5 or top 10, but somehow became the choice. There was an individual that wanted to run he wanted the position. And he went and asked if, hey, listen, I'm interested, but they told him it wasn't his time. It wasn't his turn. He can't run. And he didn't like that answer. He felt that, hey, everyone should be allowed to run. Absolutely. That's how it is. That's how it's set up. But not in Yonkers, not in the city of Hills. And because he attempted to run or enter the primaries, he caught a lot of retaliation. Not retaliation, but a lot of retribution, the word I'm looking for. They went after family members who work for the city. And they even had a meeting about the gentleman where they spoke about his mother. True story. They spoke about his mama. And that really set him off. And I thought it was on from there. But apparently, the individual had a change of heart and decided to go ahead and support Judge Ada Medina for this seat there in the city court instead of challenging her in the primary. You know how it goes here in Yonkers. Judge Ada Medina is also another individual that has connections to Zahi Jeris, which is why I also mentioned her. And again, we saw what happened to the individual who wanted to challenge in the primary. His family members were attacked. They threatened him. Same like Mike Cater. What's the common denominator? Zahi Jeris. Now there's no one challenging Judge Ada Medina, so she's got it free reign right into the seat there. She is Hispanic. However, her stepfather is a member of the Jordanian community, and that is how she is connected to Mr. Zahi Jeris. Some question, why was she fundraising if she had no one to run up against? There was no one challenging her. Why was she raising the money? But if you've been paying close attention, folks, a lot of the individuals associated with Mr. Zahi Jeris have been raising money lately. Majority Leader Tasha Diaz, John Rubo, Ada Medina, just to name a few. My name is Ada Medina, and I'm serving as city court judge here in Yonkers. I am a lifelong resident and Democrat of Yonkers, and I graduated from Northeastern University School of Law in 2002. She came from Legal Aid. She was the region chief at Legal Aid. She was actually the individual who wanted to challenge her boss, which I later found out. When they found out the individual wanted to run for office, they found Ada Medina to appoint instead because she was his boss. And not only that, she was a woman and a Latina. And in this climate, it's becoming more difficult for a white male to defeat a Latina. And that's what they've been doing. That is the strategy that has been implemented by Precision Strategies, the company owned by Zahi Jeris, the company that is managing Ada Medina's campaign. On her flyer, she had Zahi's son, Frankie Jeris, a 22-year-old college student who lives at home with his dad, as her campaign manager. Many other elected officials also have hired Precision and have had Frankie Jeris as their campaign manager. Interestingly enough, Frankie Jeris was recently caught using some of the candidates that they've have worked with Facebook accounts to harass other individuals of the community. So if you are someone who's hired Precision Strategies, let them know once you're done with them to close your Facebook account that they created for you, because they'll use that for nefarious reasons. And it comes back to you. Just saying. Just saying. And she being associated with Zahi Jeris made many wonder if that was really ethical being a judge, being associated with an individual who's been convicted of political corruption, a felony, and served 4 years? Why would she associate herself with such a gentleman? And would her integrity ever come into question as a result? We'll have to see what happens come January, or I should say June, for the primaries. No one will challenge her. She's going to go right in. They saw what happened to the individual. They sent a message. They did the same thing with Mike Cater. That's message that they sent. Moving on. Yeah, that's about it, folks. Oh, actually, I did want to mention Nader Sage was on the Hezi Yonkers Tribune radio show. And Hezi loves this guy. He just bigs him up crazy, right? Such a great guy, Nader. You're doing some wonderful things. And I do this and and I passed the legislation and it really did nothing for nobody. He just loves the guy. He says, you did all this great stuff. And I listen, waiting to hear all the great stuff that Nader Sage did. All he talked about was bills or legislation that he's wanting to introduce or has supported primarily, but none of it was meaningful. None of it had any impact. None of it, I can say, was something that we should thank him for. He is support of Bill A6616, which will allow for schools to teach transgender sexual orientation and other sexual orientations to grades K to 3, kindergarten to 3rd grade. And Nader Sage is in support of this. And I'm totally against it. I want my parental control of my own kids. I don't want my parental rights being taken away so that my kids can be taught transgender sexual orientation or any sexual orientation. I haven't even talked to them about the birds and beads yet. Let me do that. That's my job. I'm the parent. But if Nader Sage and others have their way, like Jersey, they will be teaching our kindergartners, 1st graders, 2nd graders, and 3rd graders about transgender sexual orientations, and they will use books like the one that talks about a boy bear who transitions into a girl bear. Recently, a teacher came under fire from parents because she read a transgender book in, I think it was kindergarten. She didn't notify the parents, and many of the kids came home confused, some crying, some scared that they were going to turn into the opposite sex, because at that age, they don't get it. They don't get it, Nader. They don't get it. But that's what they want to do. And if Nader Sage has his way, that's what will happen. Hezi didn't say much to him. He didn't say much about what he did. They just shot the breeze. A bunch of fluff. Hezi Yonkers Tribune. He is also another Zehi tool. And that is why he gives Nader so much praises. Never say anything bad about Nader, John Rubo, Ada Medina, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, or Shanae Williams. Notice that. Never, because he is a paid Zehi tool. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. That's my Basement Politics episode for tonight. Corazon. As majority leader, was it your job to give the city council president a hard time? How does it feel now? I see they're giving you a hard time. Doesn't seem like things are going so well. They used you for what they wanted you for now. It seems like they don't need you anymore. You thought you were going to be the mayor? My little message to you, Corazon. Have a good night. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I can't wait. Folks, it's going to be a great election cycle next year. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. There's going to be some surprise individuals. There's going to be some money being spent. There's going to be people challenging. They're going to come hard. I can't wait. I look forward to it. That's right, Brian Hurrah. I said it, and I say it again. I can't wait. District 1, 3, 5. Watch out now.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Let's get it poppin'.
Thank you, folks. I am Freddy Vasquez. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. Please continue to share. Don't forget, the Dare to Share contest is ongoing. Will you be the $100 winner next month? Every month, someone will be selected to win $100. The person that shares the most podcasts, not post, but podcast, will win $100 for that month. That's right, folks. Ask the last $100 winner. He collected his money. Will you be collecting yours? Make sure you share my podcast, the Dare to Share contest, where every month you can win $100 cash from Basement Politics, courtesy of me, Freddy Vasquez, and all those who seek change here in the city of Yonkers. Time to pass the baton. My Latinos, stand up. We have a lot of juice now. Don't let them gas you, because they're coming to, and they will if you allow them. Don't take the piece of the pie. There's a whole one in the oven waiting just for you. I'm Freddy Vasquez. Thank you very much. Have a blessed weekend, folks.
Freddy wins. Fatality. Freddy wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vasquez.
Let's get it poppin'.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vasquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers public schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
No!